talk about communication pitfalls. I want to tell you that, as I said already, like life is really rough. Like a lot of stuff. Life is good, but it's also very hard. It's very hard, and there's no way in the world to do or to have a relationship without communication. There's no such thing. You can't do relationship without communication, right? And Jesus modeled this for us, right? Like Jesus didn't have to pray to the Father, right? Like he didn't have to do it out loud, right? But he did, because communication, even in the one being of God, there's communication, right? There's interaction, right? And so I want you to know that communication can be good and bad, and we need to learn how to do it well. But why is it at the center of relational dynamics? Could you have married your spouse without communication happening? There's no way, right? Even if it was an arranged marriage, someone was communicating. Someone was talking with someone, right? We connect with God through communication. The Son of God is called the Word, right? Even when we can't speak, we find ways to communicate with each other, sign language. Like even people who can't hear or speak, they need to find a way to communicate. And we all have body language, right? I think you know, you may have heard this before, that when a message is communicated between people, 55% of the message is communicated through body language, 38% through emotion and tone, and 7% is the words. But body language is 55% of the message that gets communicated. By the way, remember those percentages, because you could see how much is lost when you're texting each other. That's why I always say, like, to couples, like, be very, very careful when you're talking about something significant over texts. Like, it's better just don't do it. Like, don't talk over text. It's something significant, okay? Sometimes, this one is very interesting, right? Sometimes we can no longer communicate with someone directly, but we communicate with them in our minds and hearts, like when someone passes away. Did you ever find yourself talking to someone who passed away? Yeah, like, I mean, we do it with the saints all the time, right? But if you have a relative or a friend or someone who passed away, you talk with them, right? So if there is a conflict in your relationship, or if you want to create change in your relationship, communication is a key component of what you must focus on. What are common communication pitfalls? We're going to talk about 7 of them and what to do about them instead. And I want to give you some examples so that you really try to get the message on this, okay? Number 1, each one of these, we're going to do a slide, okay, to talk about it. We're going to talk about what the pitfall I'm telling you now, but then we'll talk about what to do instead and some examples, okay? Ignoring the current charge in the relationship. What I mean by charge is the relationship positive right now or negative? And I want to ask you, usually it's not fully positive or fully negative, but think about your marriage. Is your relationship right now in this moment in a very positive, or is it very negative? Is it a little positive? Is it a little negative? Is it neutral, like lukewarm? How's your marriage doing, right? Maybe even you could imagine, like, how do you feel when you're sitting together having a meal? Do you feel happy or sad? Do you feel angry? Do you feel like you want to get out? How do you feel when you walk into your home? How do you feel when you get a message from your spouse or a call? That tells you if the relationship is positive or negative. Usually when you were before you got married, when in the dating period, people, you remember, right? You get a message and you're excited. I remember my mom is a very, very amazing woman. And she said, because when they got married, they got married in Egypt, and my dad moved to the US and they lived apart for a year. So my dad used to send her letters. This was the 80s. He used to send her letters, and she would say, before I opened the letter from your dad, I would open the letter from God. I would read the Bible, right? But she was happy to get the letter, right, from her husband, right? Expecting the same argument to lead to a different outcome. This is a big one. What's wrong with us? I'm asking myself too, where we have the same argument again and again. Why? Why do I think the next time I have the argument is going to lead to something different? Like, what's going on? If I'm not changing anything, why do I think something else is going to happen? Saying the first thing that comes to your mind. This is really bad in a negative time. I need you to know, my beloved brothers and sisters, applies to me too. Our minds are imperfect. Our minds are imperfect. We could do many talks about all the imperfections of our minds. So the first thing that comes to your mind is usually not the best thing. The first thing that comes to your mind is not the best thing. You can do better. Basically, you can do better. If you give yourself some time, your mind will come up with something better. But sometimes when in the heat of the moment, you just say the first thing that comes out. And actually, the culture, the Western culture, glorifies this. They say, you do you. Say whatever you want. You're free. Just do whatever you want. Say it. Go. Yeah, say it. Actually, sometimes what you're saying is poison. And sometimes when you say affects how you feel. Sometimes what we feel affects how we say, but sometimes what we say affects how we feel. It works in both directions, right? Being disrespectful or sinning toward the other. This happens in small ways and in big ways, okay? In a moment of frustration, switching the discussion to the general problematic pattern. Reacting to an adverse action with an equal or stronger reaction. Your spouse says one thing, and you come back with something just as strong. That's really bad, right? You're basically out of control. You're letting the other person's behaviors control you, right? Making assumptions about the other's intentions or motivations, or labeling their character, right? Okay, so before we get into them, I just want to say one thing. This is the foundation, because we're going to talk about tools and techniques and strategies. But I want to tell you about the foundation, okay? And if you forget everything else we're going to talk about, just remember what's going to show up here, okay? This is the most important thing, okay? The rest is just tools and techniques, okay? You own 100% of everything you say. Everything you say is your responsibility, belongs to you. No one made you say anything. No one made you say anything. No one made you say anything. You have to take it, every word. Jesus said, by your words you will be justified, and by your words you will be condemned. By your words. So I have a talk that we could maybe do another time called When a Christian Speaks. Like what should a Christian sound like when they speak? The Bible has a lot of verses about speech. When you speak, what do we say? How should we say it? Right? A lot of very beautiful things that God tells us about how to speak. But what comes out of your mouth, and I'm just saying very simply, when you open your mouth, anything that comes out is your responsibility. Okay? Okay? This is so important. Of the things that are here, they're all very important. This is the most important one. Okay? All right. Next one is, if your goal in communication is to change your spouse, you're in the wrong place. We're not trying to change another person. We're trying to learn how to live with another person. That's it. Not change another person. God didn't say, oh, here's your spouse, go change them. He said, here's your spouse, go serve them. Serve them, minister to them, right? Minister to them. Healthy communication doesn't come automatically. Maybe because some of the things we're going to talk about, you're going to say, who talks like this? Like who even, like I'm going to ask you, like for example, if your spouse raises a concern, they say, I'm not this and this and that and this and that, and you listen carefully. And then I want you to say, I'm going to tell you, this is a very valuable thing you can say at the end. You say, do you feel understood by me? Or do you feel like I heard you? This question is worth like thousands of dollars, that question, okay? Do you feel heard by me? Do you feel like I understand you? This question is very powerful. Some people, if they hear that question, they start crying. Really. Because they say, what? You're willing to wait until I feel like you heard me, like I'm understood. But then someone might say, Makar, who speaks like that? Who says stuff like that? Nobody talks that way. Yeah, because it doesn't come automatically. It's not natural. Natural is not right all the time. Natural is not right all the time. So it feels unnatural each step of the way as you begin to practice it. But remember, you're not trying to be average in your marriage, because average is unhappy. The average marriage is not happy. So your goal is not to be like the average person. Your goal is to be better than the average person. Because only if you're better, you're going to have an above average marriage which is happy, right? You are contributing to the problem. So when you get into a tense moment, that's why Jesus said, look at the plank in your own eye before you look at the speck in your brother's eye, right? Ask yourself, what's my contribution? One of the most powerful things you can do when there's a conflict is start with an apology. Start with an apology. I'm sorry. Hey, I know we're in the middle of a fight and we disagree on something, but I just want to start off by saying, I'm sorry for X, Y, and Z. This could make fights, reduce the time to get through a fight by like 90% if you do that, right? I'm sorry. I made a mistake. Like I remember I had this couple, the husband and wife, years and years and years of just emotional distance, a lot of like resentment over some certain big things that happened. And while we're talking, the husband is just talking, he's complaining, and the wife said, he's right. And I messed up in this and this and that. You could just feel as if you felt the tension just go down, right? And they were no longer like enemies anymore. She just said that statement, right? But you are contributing to the problem. It takes two people to keep an argument going and one person to diffuse it. Okay? It takes two people to keep an argument going and one person to diffuse it. So all it takes is one of you to say, hey, can we pause for a few minutes? Or hey, let's try to have a good conversation. Your spouse says, and then you say, hey, I know this is a really difficult conversation, or we're getting into a big argument. I love you. Let's try to have a good conversation. I'm gonna do it. Let's try together to have a good conversation, right? It takes one person, and don't wait for the other person. Basically, it takes you. That's how you have to think about it, okay? All right, so let's go through each one. Everybody with me so far? I know it's been a lot of content. It's a lot of content, okay? All right. Ignoring the current charge. Instead of ignoring the current charge in the relationship, charge, again, I mean charge is like positive or negative. That's what I mean by charge. Is your relationship in general in a positive place or a negative place? Also, when you walk into your home, is the home positive or negative in that moment? Right? What's going on? All right? Sometimes, on Monday, the home is positive, but after the days pass, everybody's worn out from work. You get to Thursday or Friday, people are coming home, everyone's upset. Right? Except the kids, they're always happy and just driving us crazy. But instead of ignoring the current charge, assess the relationship's capacity to handle a negatively charged interaction. Can your relationship handle a criticism right now? Sometimes it can't. By the way, I'm not saying your criticism is wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong. It's just, it's not the right time. Exactly, it's not the right time. You could say the right thing at the wrong time. Do you get what I'm saying? The right thing at the wrong time, even the right thing in the right way at the wrong time, is still wrong. The right thing in the wrong time in the right way. The right thing in the right time the wrong way. The wrong thing in the right time the right way. All of those is wrong, okay? It has to be the right thing at the right time in the right way, okay? So you have to make an assessment. Maybe you want to criticize, maybe your relationship is doing okay, but sometimes your spouse is not doing okay in that moment. Your relationship is fine, but your spouse is not okay. For example, your spouse has a big exam to study for, and you want to criticize, talk about something. Your relationship is doing fine, is okay. The relationship can handle some stuff. But your spouse is is focused on something else. Maybe they have a stress. Maybe someone they care about is sick. Maybe, so it's not the right time. It's not enough to be right about your criticism. So you have to ask yourself, can my relationship handle a negatively charged interaction? Okay? If the relationship can't handle any more negatively charged interactions, then for the time being, give up asking for changes or expressing dissatisfaction. Just give up. I'm not saying give up on the marriage. That's not what I said. I'm not saying give up on your point. I'm not saying that either. I'm just saying in this moment, give up in this moment. Just wait. You can't handle anymore. You have to be realistic, right? Have you ever tried to teach your children something and they're so frustrated and they can't take anymore. Like they just can't. And you keep trying to teach them. The more you try, the less available they are. We do that to our spouses all the time. Focus instead on creating positively charged experiences. You know, that's it. If your kid, most of the time, if your kid can't handle any more, teaching or whatever, they're probably still going to be able to accept the hug, right? They'll probably tell them you love them, they'll take it. Give them a kiss, they'll take it. That's how it works with adults too, right? Like you can't handle any more negative stuff, and I love you, a kiss, a hug, a cup of tea, whatever it is, they'll take it, right? It's easy, right? It's easy and it helps. It changes the charge in the relationship, right? Yes?
Can you fake a hug? It's just to make the person in front of you happy?
Yeah, sure. I don't want to...
You're frustrated, but you're
Yeah.
your state, you can accept.
No,
okay,
sure.
I'll give you a hug. And
Yeah.
That will make your life easy.
Yeah.
But I don't feel the hug.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Actually, love is a lot of times proven when you don't feel. Like that's when you really prove your love, and even more, you do it when you feel unloved. That's even more you prove it when you feel unloved, right? So imagine not just you don't feel the love, you feel unloved. That's when love really proves itself, right? Is that answering your question?
Yes.
It's a great question, an excellent question. Examples here of ignoring the charge and doing and assessing and creating positively charged experiences. Thank your partner for something he did. Tell your partner that you love her. Give her something that is thoughtful. This is just creating changing the charge. Instead of ignoring the charge in the relationship and just being so focused on what you want to say, change the charge, okay? All right. Next one, expecting the same argument to lead to a different outcome. How many of us had the same argument more than once? 10 times, 50 times, 100 times, all of us, right? Find a creative solution to address the recurring issue. Stop having the same argument, just stop. There's no point. There's no point. Why? Remember we said time is limited, life is short, time is running out. Don't waste it on doing the same thing unless you change something. If you're not sure it's going to lead to a different outcome. Decide whether you can give up on the point of contention and learn to cope. Cope means how can I survive? How can I manage my life while this is going on? Because some things are not going to change. Some things need to change. Some things are not going to change. Some things will change, some things are not going to change. It's not black and white. It's not like there's a lot we could spend the whole time talking about just how to think about boundaries, but challenge yourself to find new ways to address the issue or to cope with it. Can I give you a little quick example? So, when my older son was like maybe 2 or something, we received a gift of a little table. Like someone just gave us a table to put. So we moved him from the high chair to the table to eat, right? And so now he's sitting, he's free, he's on the table, nothing. And so he would just take a few bites and run to the couch. And he's in the middle of mealtime, just runs to the couch, jumps around. So mealtime takes longer, dinner time takes longer. And he's like, his hands are messy. Of course, our couch is white. We bought it before we had kids, and so he's just all over the place. And I found myself, I have like in the evenings, I have like an hour with my son, because sometimes I have work later in the evening sometimes. And so I have this 1 hour, usually 1 hour in the evening. And I said to myself, the whole time is, Anthony, go back to your table, go back. As I go get him. And I'm not angry. I'm managing my tone fine, but the whole time is me picking him up, telling him to go back again and again. I said, what's wrong with me? Why am I, what kind of quality time is this? Like, what are we doing? And we gave the high chair to our second son. So now we only have one high chair. So we gave it to the second son. And so now we don't have, what do we do? Any ideas?
Buy another high chair.
Exactly. I bought another high chair. My wife went on Facebook Marketplace and bought another high chair. I bought a high chair. And now he doesn't care. He didn't care. Like we just put the table away. It wasn't, so now it's a new way. Imagine what we're gonna do. I'm gonna fight with my wife. Oh, make sure he sits in the thing. Oh, and then I fight with my son. And then with someone who's gonna have to watch the other son while we're fighting about this thing. It's not. Find new ways. Create new ways, right? Create new ways. I'll give you another one. When we first got married, I'm giving you the simple ones because I don't expose all of any messes. But we first got married. We go on our honeymoon, okay? And we'd never lived with each other before, so we're just learning everything. We're learning so much. So we're in the bathroom, and the bathroom had 2 sinks, and we're like, oh, okay, we're both expecting we're gonna share the same toothpaste. Like we both take the toothpaste, and she squeezes it from the bottom, I squeeze it from anywhere, right? I just squeeze the toothpaste, right? I just squeeze it. Some of you think this is a crime, but I just squeeze it from anywhere. I just need to try to go. And my wife is like, what are you doing, And I'm like, what? Like, you gotta keep going. Why am I to keep squeezing it from the bottom and, all this stuff? And so we could go back and forth on this. What's the solution? What's the solution? Don't share. Get 2 toothpastes, right? Get 2 toothpastes. Yeah, but there's no mess. Like we didn't make a mess. Everything is fine. I'm not squeezing it like on the mirror, but I'm just squeezing it from any place on the tube. So you just have to find creative solutions, right? What about if you're fighting over who's gonna drop the kid off or pick them up every morning? Spend 15, 20 minutes, find the system, create a new system. So you don't have to discuss it again and again every time, right? Examples. Read a book about the problem you're having. Again, the point is to find the creative solution. Don't have the same argument again, expecting a different outcome. Don't. Just stop. Don't even bring it up until you think of a creative solution. Seek external support from a trusted person. Ask yourself, if this will never change, what can I do to protect my own well-being? Okay? All right. The next pitfall is saying the first thing that comes to your mind. Oh, please. Remember, your words are what? What you say is 100% your responsibility. And also, you will be judged. You will be condemned by your words. Also justified. Jesus is not saying your words are all bad. He said you will be justified by your words too. You can say good things. Let your speech be seasoned, right? Like it's good. There's a lot of good things, right? Pause and carefully consider the best next thing to say. Always be thoughtful. By the way, this one, it feels hard because many of us, let me kind of explain, this is kind of, it's a little hard to explain, but it's very important. Some of us were not used to like reflecting on ourselves. We don't reflect about ourselves. We just do. We just live like, I'm going to say something, sorry, I don't mean any offense, but you kind of live like animals. We live like animals. You just do whatever you want. You just do it. You just do it. Whatever you say, you want to eat, you don't realize that if I act as if I'm looking at myself, I can have an opinion and make changes in myself. Many of us never changed ourselves. We never did that. So we don't know. We don't know what does it mean to change. So what I want you to do is in this point here, to think about what you're going to say. It feels like it's so much work. But the more you practice it, it's gonna be so easy, okay? It's gonna be very easy. But it just takes like some discipline. It just takes some discipline. But what I don't want to happen, please, my beloved friends, is do not wait until something really bad happens to then reflect. Okay? This is really important. I'll give you an extreme example. Very extreme example. Very, very extreme example. This is so extreme, it's just hypothetical, okay? Don't wait for your spouse to cheat on you to then say, oh, I was neglecting my spouse, and reflect on yourself. Don't wait for that. But also, I'll give you a much less extreme example. Don't wait for your children to want to leave you and not want to share anything with you for you to reflect on yourself. Some of us were so hard on our kids, so hard, so sharp, so critical. And then at some point, your kid, they get to a certain point, and they're like, I don't care what my parents think anymore. I don't care. They just stop caring. Don't wait. And then you say, I made so many mistakes. Now you're reflecting. But the same thing in your marriage. Don't wait till you become so distant and so much bitterness and resentment built up in your marriage that it could take years to bring it back. Then you say, I made some mistakes, and you reflect. Reflect now. Reflect now. Reflect now. How am I doing, right? So pause and consider the best next thing to say. Reflect in that moment. The first thing that comes to mind is usually imperfect and unhelpful. Achieving a healthy relationship requires sophisticated communication, and like I said, doesn't come naturally. Let me ask you a very simple question. A very, very simple question. If what I said earlier, to ask your spouse, do you feel understood by me? Do you feel heard? Well, that question, could that have come naturally? Were you gonna discover that? That would have taken a while to come up with that question. Because it's hard work, right? It's hard work. There's innovation and better understanding about how the human heart works over time. So that's why we have to learn. It doesn't come naturally. Examples: slow down the conversation. Most fights are, you know what I want you to think? Imagine, you ever see people play ping pong? Right? It's like, and if you sit on the table and you're watching, it's like that. That's how people fight. And somebody hits, and you try to hit, and the players who are beginners, they always hit with the same force back, right? They always hit with the same force back. But the more advanced you become, you learn that just because one person hit really hard doesn't mean you hit really hard back, right? You have to decide what you're going to do. You have to be thinking about it. Have a strategy, right? So slow down the conversation. Lean towards asking questions. A very simple hack is just respond with questions. Curious questions, not questions to trap the other person. Okay? That's not good. That's really bad, okay? But questions like, it sounds like you didn't expect me to do this and this and that. What did you expect me to do? Like, help me understand better. Give each other permission to step away and come back at a specified time. It's best to agree on this now when you're not in a fight, okay? I know, like, usually, by the way, it's very common in relationships that the partners, they're different when it comes to addressing a problem, the urgency. Usually one partner wants to talk about the problem now, another person wants to talk about the problem like they need time to think and come back. It's very common, okay? So for the one who wants to address it now, you have to give the other person space.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. You're welcome. I'm here for you. Everyone here, they're just like, everyone here is just like they're props. Yeah, he's hoping that if you just let time pass, the problem will go away. Yeah. No, but that's not good either, yeah. No. But you never look. For the person who wants to talk about it now, you have to give the other person their space and time. For the person who wants space and time, you have to commit to coming back by a very specific time. Very specific. Say, oh, okay, I'm not ready to talk now, but can we talk about it, tonight at 8 p.m., right? And before either of you talk about it, prepare yourself mentally, like we were saying in the last slide. Like prepare for the conversation. Prepare your heart. Tell yourself, I love this person. They have good intentions. I need to be curious and try to understand their perspective. They're not trying to hurt me. So that when you come to the conversation and ask yourself, I'm more prepared. This is, but man, I wish people could just do what I'm saying. Save so much headache. And then ask yourself, is there something when we have the conversation, is there something I can apologize for to start the conversation? Wow. This
I think what you're saying is really hard to do when you're in the moment.
yeah, that's what,
Just give me a few minutes.
sure.
Or to ask the question
Yeah.
politely. We want to say, what do you mean?
Yeah.
And it comes out.
No, sure. But you know what's harder? An unhappy marriage. And that's it. It's either way, it's work. But the work of an unhappy marriage is very lonely, very painful, very sad, very, very harmful to children, to yourself. And nowadays you'll just become depressed because life doesn't give you time anymore. The world is not patient with you. The world, if it finds you whatever, it'll take you. Come, let's go on social media. Let's go work more. Let's go hang out with this. Let's go do that. Even let's go serve. Some people, their marriage is a disaster, but they're serving all day in church. So don't so it does take work. And that's what I said. God is using marriage to perfect you, to show you things that maybe you don't know how to speak. You're not thoughtful in your speech. You don't know how to listen. You don't know how to be curious. You don't know how to give the benefit of the doubt. And a lot of these things some of these things you don't realize until you get married, because the marriage relationship is unique. There's nothing like that relationship. It's the only one in the world. Your relationship with your spouse is the only one in the world. That means that you affect each other in a way that no one else affects the other person. Do you get what I'm saying? When I'm younger, if I had an anger problem when I was younger, and I was home and I had an anger problem, my parents could kick me out of their faces. You just get me out of here if I had an anger problem, right? Because there's a power difference, right? They could just get me, not physical, but there's just a power dynamic. I'm dependent on them, they're not dependent on me, right? So I could say, Mom, Dad, they'd be like, get out of here, what's wrong with you? Get out of here, punish this, right? But then you get, and you think you're fine, or you have an anger problem at work. Once it goes to 5 o'clock, everybody goes home. But you have an anger problem and you're married, that your spouse is looking at that and they're like, wow, this is for the rest of my life. This could come up anytime, unpredictable. You don't know, right? So sometimes once you get married, you find out that you have an anger problem. Because before, no one was complaining. Do you get what I'm saying? And then you're like, wait, what's wrong with my spouse? They're telling me I'm angry. I have an anger problem. My spouse is messed up. No one told me this before. The problem is my spouse. Actually, no. It's that you are now so intimately connected to someone else, and you affect someone in a way you've never affected anyone before, and now you're finding more flaws in yourself. And God is using marriage as a mirror to help you become a better person. Do you get what I'm saying? This is really, really important, right? Okay. Imagine how your partner will respond to what you're about to say. By the way, this is helpful all the time in everything. Just imagine it. Play the conversation in your head. What do you think? You're gonna start the conversation by saying this and this and this. What do you think your spouse is gonna say when you say that? Plan, imagine, prepare, right? And this pausing, by the way, is the most beautiful thing. One time we should do a study of when Jesus was silent, when he chose to not say something. Because there were times when he chose to say something, of course, and there were times when he chose to say nothing or to sidestep a question, ignore the question, right? Or get to the heart of the heart, beneath the surface of what was going on. Silence can sometimes speak louder than words. Silence can be very loud, right? Silence is very powerful. When I was studying therapy, we had to learn about silence, how to use silence. Silence is a good tool. Sometimes someone is saying something, and if you're listening and your body language is good, and you don't say anything and you just wait, and they pause and you pause too, they might say more. But if you just started talking when they paused, you're never going to know what they were going to say. You're never going to know. The opportunity is gone. So ask yourself, am I silent on purpose? Do I choose silence as a way to communicate something, a good thing? Sometimes we use silence as a way to withdraw, to punish the other person, but that's not healthy. The next communication pitfall is being disrespectful or sinning toward the other, okay? What to do instead is commit to the Christian life and acknowledge God's presence in your home. I need you to know that God is always present. So if you say something not nice, if you give a bad look, if you give a criticism, if you say a very disrespectful thing, if your tone is bad, God heard that. God was right there. And I need you, all of you, please, to honor God. Because at the end of the day, this whole day, all of this, all of marriage, all of parenting, all of this is about God. This is all about Him at the end of the day. It's not about, your kids getting older, going to college, and then having grandkids, and now you're proud because your kids had these careers and now you're a grandparent. That's not what this is all about. At the end of the day, God is all in all. Like He's the beginning and the end of this whole journey, right? So you need to, put Him before you in everything you do. See Him. Like He's here. I'm looking at my spouse, but Christ is right here. He's here. What I'm about to do, what I'm about to say is it honor Him or not? Right? If you act like Christ is not there, your kids will act like Christ is not there. Right? Yeah.
I think there's a verse, I'm not sure, St. Paul said the meaning of it is like if you see the Christ on the cross all the time, you will never sin. Something is this meaning.
You're probably right. Yeah.
Picture Christ on the cross.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. No, I mean, he said, like, I've determined to know nothing except Christ crucified. Like, there were things like that. See Him in front of you always. See Him in front of you always. Always. Even me here, it's easy for me to just talk about content, right? But Christ is here, right? And we have to honor Him in what we're doing. And in your service, everything. Once disrespect or sin happens, a successful communication outcome becomes unattainable, and the disrespect becomes an immediate issue. Let me just explain what that means. You could be talking about anything. The meal, the kids, what you're going to do tomorrow, your vacation plans, your job, whatever. Once disrespect happens, the disrespect becomes the priority issue. It becomes the first issue. It doesn't matter, even if we're talking about the most important issue in the world. Then you say, if you say, that's a stupid idea. What? Now, the disrespect is the first issue. Okay? Now it's the main thing. And you're going to say, what do you mean? Why are you making it such a big deal? It's because what's the point of even trying to work together if I don't feel like there's a relationship here? What are we even talking about? Parenting together, building a life together, anything together, serving together. This is in organizations too. I remember one time I had a junior person at work call me and he said, Makar, my manager said this and this and this to me. And his manager said some very disrespectful things. And I remember I said, he called me, he asked for support. I have to respond. I have to help, right? I can't let this go, right? And because he was doing a good job, his manager was doing a good job at work, they were very effective, but he felt disrespected. Once the disrespect came in, all the motivation was going to go, in the trash, right? Yes?
Earlier you said, like, I would not intentionally hurt my husband. I wouldn't wake up deciding I want to hurt him. I think with the same exact concept, I would never tell something to my husband that I intentionally mean to disrespect.
Yes, that's right. That's exactly right. Yes. Most offenses are unintentional. We unintentionally hurt each other all the time. Let me say that again. We unintentionally hurt each other all the time. All the time. Many times a day. Right? And that's why you have to give grace. And that's why you have to be quick to apologize. And that's why you have to be prepared in these discussions and pause, because the other person is not trying to hurt you. Right? They're not trying to hurt. I agree with you 1,000,000%. Yes. Like even sometimes, like maybe, can I tell you a quick, actually we have to do this Q&A, but I'll tell you a quick story just to explain this. When my wife and I went on our honeymoon, we were at a really nice resort, and the restaurant at the resort was very far away from where the rooms were, okay? So when you want to go eat, you could walk to the restaurant, or you could call, they'll send the golf cart to pick the other passengers up, the other guests, and you could go together, and it'll drive you to the restaurant. In the resort, the drivers and the workers have a protocol. The protocol is, if you see another cart with guests on it and you don't have guests, you go to the side and let the one with the guests pass. You get what I'm saying? Okay. All right, so if you don't have guests with you and you see one with guests, you let the one with the guests pass. That's their protocol for for courtesy and whatever. So we were on the cart, and our driver is going to the restaurant, and he's going, and there's another cart coming with no guests on it. So the other cart is coming, and I'm seeing this, and that cart with no guests pulls over to the side and waits. In that same second, my driver got a phone call, like on his work phone. So in that second, while this guy was pulling over, he got a call on his phone, and he looked at it, and he picked it up, and he's taking a call. And so now this guy is waiting for him to pass, but he took a call. And so I'm watching and I'm seeing this happen. You guys understand what's going on? Yeah, did I lose anyone? Okay. So the guy who pulled to the side, I'm seeing him get frustrated. Like, don't you see I'm waiting for you to pass? I'm waiting for you to pass. And this guy's just on his phone. He doesn't even know someone's waiting for him. He doesn't know. So this guy who is driving with the guests, he's unintentionally offended the other guy, but unintentionally. He didn't even know he offended the other person. Maybe you're busy and you're preparing a meal or something or whatever it is, and your spouse says something to you, and you're so focused in your own thoughts, you just ignore them. And they feel offended because you didn't hear what they said. But most of it's unintentional. I want to tell you, unless you're sure it's intentional, well, kind of like what I was saying before, unless you're sure it's intentional, assume it's unintentional. Give the benefit of the doubt. By the way, assuming it's unintentional is a better way to live. It's a better way to live your life, to give the benefit of the doubt. It's a better way to live as a person, to assume it's unintentional. Okay? No matter what happens, there is never a justification for unchristian behavior. Never. Okay? And I want all of us, please think about yourselves. Don't think about your spouse. You're not going to tell your spouse, hey, I want you to know. There's no justification. Just think about yourself. Everybody think about yourself, okay? It's easy to think about the other person. Examples. Do not curse at each other or call each other names. If you happen to disrespect the other, pull back and apologize. Once you disrespect the other person, tell yourself, you have to even just say to yourself immediately, as fast as you can, now that's the main issue. Immediately, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry, I made a mistake. If you want to pause right now, I shouldn't have said that. That was wrong. Do you want to pause right now? Are you able to continue the conversation? and that's it, okay? Include God in your day-to-day life so that you don't forget him in difficult times. It's easy to forget that God is present at all times when you don't talk to him at all. If you just ignore his presence most of the time, right? All right, in a moment of frustration, this is, by the way, like from someone who works with couples, it's one of the most, it's very typical and a very it's kind of like an annoying dynamic, thing that happens. So when, there's an issue that happened and you're in the middle of the issue and then someone says, you always do this, right? And they, not the use of the word always, that's a different issue, but to move it from the specific issue to the general pattern. And sometimes couples, they switch back and forth in the middle of the discussion. You're talking about the issue that just happened, and then you're arguing about the pattern, and then you go back to the issue, and then you never solve the pattern, and you never solve the issue. So what I'm trying to tell you is pay attention when you're switching back and forth. Talking about the issue, usually you can do it more immediately. You can do it more in the moment. Talking about the pattern cannot happen in the moment, most of the time. You cannot, a problem happens and you say, let's talk about the pattern. No, because people are too hurt. To address the pattern, you need to be kind of prepared in the right state of mind. You need to prepare more time, okay? Stay focused on the immediate issue and do not get stuck. Be careful, by the way, sometimes we switch back and forth to avoid acknowledging that our role in the issue. Basically, it's a way to evade what's going on. As long as you keep the conversation confused and not focused, you could get out of it without committing to anything. So just be careful if that's what you're doing. Do you get what I'm saying about this? These are kind of hard points, but you'll not be able to solve a problematic pattern during a conflict. You can do so when you're not in a conflict. Using other approaches, you can later determine how to address a problematic pattern. Examples. Do not say things like, you always do this, or I can't believe this is happening again. Don't say that. Because you're referring to the pattern, right? Focus on moving forward from that immediate conflict and problem solve the immediate problem. Treat this problem as if it's the first time it happened. Treat it as if it's the first time it happened, okay? All right, I think we have two more. Reacting to an adverse action with an equal or stronger reaction. Respond, don't react. Respond, don't react. Avoid getting caught in a vicious cycle of pain. Remember I said it takes two to keep a conflict going, a fight going, and it takes one to diffuse it, right? If you find it's escalating, just pause. Just pause, Remember, you are in control of whether the conflict escalates, and don't wait for the other to de-escalate. Examples. If your partner is yelling, respond in a calm tone. Respond in a calm tone. Just respond in a calm tone, that's it. If your partner makes a sarcastic comment, remember I was saying with ping pong? Imagine one time you just catch the ball with your hand and don't hit it back, right? Just catch it. Take it, hold it, keep going, give it to Christ, okay? Just don't take it, just smash it back in their face. That's what we do in our fights, right? Don't do that. Okay, I think this is the last one. Making assumptions, and I think we talked about this a bit already, making assumptions about the other's intentions or motivations, or labeling their character, okay? Switch into a learning posture. Assume you don't know why your partner is behaving the way they are, and ask questions. There's a philosopher back then said, true knowledge is to know the extent of one's ignorance. True knowledge is to know the extent of one's ignorance. What I mean by that, or what that means, is that you and me, there's a lot of things we don't know about our partner. A lot of things. And don't think because you know about your own suffering and struggle that the other person isn't struggling at least as much. It's good to assume that your partner is struggling at least as much as you are. It's a very safe assumption. Very safe assumption. Your partner is struggling as much as you are. In your partner's mind and heart, what they are doing makes sense. It makes sense to them. Your goal is to figure out why it makes sense to them, because they see the world differently than you do. Your partner does not intend to hurt you even if you are hurt, and here are some examples. Don't make general statements about your partner. She cares about her image, or he's selfish. Don't put those labels or make these general statements. Don't make assumptions about what's going on for them. You don't know. You have no idea. Please, be humble. I'm saying this to myself too. Be humble. You have no idea what's going on with your partner. You don't know anything. You think you know, but you don't know. Even you're the closest. You know how I can prove to you that you don't know your partner that well? Because you don't even know yourself that well. Sometimes you do things and you say, why did I do that? Or you say, what's wrong with me? Where am I headed? What am I doing? I think I asked myself that question this morning. What am I doing? I know what I'm doing in the moment. But sometimes I want to reflect. Am I headed in the right direction? Am I investing my time in the right things? Sometimes we don't know ourselves that well. So why do you think we know the other person so well? So be humble and say, I don't know. They seem on the outside, with all my biases and all my hurt, I feel like they're crazy. But actually, I don't know anything. Let me explore. Let me try to understand better. By the way, sometimes when a couple reaches out to me, sometimes it starts with one person reaching out first to arrange to talk and stuff like that. So usually what happens, and I'm not saying it's bad or it shouldn't happen exactly, but usually what happens is the person who reaches out, they take it as an opportunity without anyone there to say all they want to say about what they think the issue is. Right? This is their time. There's no one there, and they're going to say the whole thing from their perspective. Yeah, they're trying to, with not bad intentions, they have good intentions. They think they know what the issue is. So they start, but in a way, they're trying to influence the situation, right? They're trying to affect my impression. And it's hard. It's hard because our minds are biased. One time we could talk about cognitive biases. Our brains are not perfect, and there's many known imperfections. So if we know the imperfection, you can deal with it better. One of them is something called availability bias, which is your mind chooses to believe what's available. Your mind just believes the information that's available. So if somebody, that's why they say first impressions are very powerful. Because if it's the first impression, is the only information available, so your mind just latches onto it and believes it, right? So if someone calls and they tell you stuff, they're going to give you their impression. And it's very hard to train to know, to keep in your mind, there's a lot that I don't know, right? And sometimes when these people call, you think that when I talk to the other person, I'm going to find the monster. I'm going to find the monster, right? Then I talk to the other person, and I'm like, wait. These are two, and usually what I find is two amazing people who are having a hard time trying to work together. Amazing people. The more I talk with each of them, and as a couple, you find they're amazing people. But they're having a very hard time trying to figure it out. They're hurt, this happened, that happened, people are involved, whatever, all this stuff, right? Okay, ask questions. What made you say that when we were all together, right? Be curious. Again, not accusing, not questions to corner the other person. Express the benefit of the doubt. By the way, this humble way of starting questions is it changes everything. You could say, I'm sure you didn't mean this, but it seemed to me like whatever. I'm not sure if I'm right, or I know, or you even say, I know you have positive intentions, right? This humble way of starting the statements is very powerful, right? Because you're telling them that you see them in a good light. You're telling them. That's very powerful. In summary, communication is a key component of what we need to manage in order to maintain our relationships. There are key facts that we must embrace wholeheartedly, before we can implement approaches to avoid pitfalls. Like these are the foundation that we're telling you about. And these include full ownership of what we say, and that healthy communication doesn't come naturally. This requires work. Does riding a bike come naturally? If riding a bike doesn't come naturally, how much unnaturally is it to learn how to communicate well, right? It's a lot of work. It's a ton of work. So here's the communication, the summary, just a table that covers all these things, the pitfall and how to avoid it. And that's the end of the prepared material.